Okay, we're gonna try something a little new around here. Just gonna move you over a little there. It looks like I'm like reaching out to you in desperate emotion. It's me, I'm Kathy of Coho. Is that all right? That'll do. You can see me, so that'll do. So in my head, while I was sitting upstairs, this seemed like a really good idea. This felt like it was gonna flow, felt like it was gonna be really casual, felt like it was gonna be super fun. And now I'm sitting here, I've got no idea how to start this video. Awkward. I thought it was about time we added a little bit of spice to this situation and tried something new. And seeing as one of my very few talents on this earth is existing mainly on a bloodstream made of entirely caffeined liquids, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity for us to have a little coffee break together. So welcome to my new feature on this channel, Coffee Break with Lucy. Could do with a slightly catchier title if anyone's got any suggestions. Rather than trying to overthink this situation too much, rather than, you know, overthinking myself into oblivion, trying to be super creative and fun, I thought I'd just make a cup of coffee and we'll have a really nice catch up, and maybe this will be a regular thing. We'll all just take 20 minutes to have a little bit of a catch up and it'll be like we're having a coffee break at work together. I think actually when I decide to put this video up, it's probably been a little while since I actually uploaded a video. There's a couple that are kind of in the pipeline, but they've got brand sponsorships in them, so they need like extra approval from big cheeses at various companies. So I haven't had anything actually go up on my channel for a long time, so sorry about that. It hasn't been at all that I didn't want to film or that I like didn't have ideas or that we haven't been doing anything, because life has kind of been like slowly returning like 10% to normal. It's actually been because I've been genuinely super busy. I've launched a little online shop. Surprise! I actually wasn't even going to mention it on here because I want it to be a totally separate thing, really. But to explain my absence from these parts, you're going to see me around these parts for a little while, and it's because I've launched a little online shop, which is fun. It probably does seem super random and you're probably like, what on earth? Why the hell have you decided to do that? But I think like it was pretty obvious in my lockdown vlogs and stuff that the thing that I kind of turned to when I had nothing else to do was getting a bit creative, and I did a lot of kind of like painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff. And a couple of times I kind of created things that I thought, this is actually pretty cute. I might buy this. I was kind of just like creating little doodles and designs and stuff for stuff that we might put around the house, but actually some of them turned out really nicely, so I thought I would just open a little online shop, and hey presto, I did it. For once in my life it wasn't just a fleeting idea that I didn't do anything about. I actually made it happen, and it was quite hard work actually. It's taken me months to get it off the ground. I've made various like undercover references to it in different videos and stuff, but that's what I've been working on. Please absolutely don't feel obliged to do anything about it. As I said, it's a separate little venture for me. But if you'd like to check it out, it's Gold Dust Road. I'll leave it in the description box down below. Got a nice little selection of prints and enamel pins and a couple of little accessories and some new things in the pipeline already too, which I'm super excited about. The launch went really well. It was a very pleasant surprise that a few people wanted to buy something. So yeah, a new little venture for me. I'm really, really excited about it. So that's kind of what has been taking up all of my brain space recently. It's been a really cool process though. There's literally so much more to it than I ever realised. Hang on, I'm gonna let my coffee go cold if I don't just shut up 1 second. Yeah, there is so much more to it than I literally ever realised. Like obviously there's all the kind of like really fun bit of like designing all the bits and bobs and redesigning stuff until I'm happy with it and changing colours and changing logos and whatever. That's the kind of the fun bit, but then the really time consuming part was like finding manufacturers that I felt comfortable with and that had all the right kind of like ethical credentials that I wanted. And I've tried to be as eco-friendly as possible with it all and stuff. So that took quite a lot of thought and a lot of brain power to do that bit. Even like putting the packaging together with the same kind of like eco-friendly thought process, you really kind of second guess yourself all the time. So yeah, it's taken quite a long time, but I'm really happy with where it's at. Just a nice little second thing that I can turn my brain to when the internet isn't a super fun place to be. I think I've been really, really missing having something else. I actually don't really know how long YouTube has been like my main source of income now. Maybe a year and a half or so. And I don't think it's any secret that like the whole internet thing, like this whole thing and like having it as a job, it kind of sometimes sits well with me and then sometimes really doesn't, and I feel like my brain is turning into Scrabble letters. I have such mixed feelings about it all the time, and I literally second guess like every word that I put out into the universe a lot of the time. It's just a really, really weird sort of job to have, and it really makes you question yourself as a human being. Well, for me anyway, I genuinely just think I wasn't cut out for this. And the whole process of that happening and it kind of turning into a success and like turning into my job brought up so much mixed feeling for me, because I think like the whole starting point for my channel kind of growing and stuff was obviously like the mid-size fashion, and the point where I started doing that, like when I made that video about like how to get through the summer when you're a bit fat, me making that video was me like so timidly trying to dip into the waters of slightly feeling a bit better about myself and my body after 10 bajillion years of feeling terrible about it. That was me literally like so gingerly dipping a toe into the water to be like, is this gonna make me feel a tiny bit better if like I can kind of represent this a little bit? And basically that video and a couple of videos that followed after that grew so much quicker than I was ready to be presenting that part of me. I really, really wasn't ready to do it. So this like accidental platform that I made was running at like full speed. There was that one mad weekend, we were in Germany at the time, and I got like 70,000 subscribers in like 2 days. We were literally sitting on this balcony watching my subscriber count. And that was a moment where I was literally just like, did I want this to happen? I was planning on using those kind of videos to really kind of like just push myself one little ounce out of my comfort zone to start feeling slightly more positive about myself. But it ran before I was ready to walk basically, and I kind of had to run with it because it got a little bit sort of like compelling and addictive almost to like really feel that kind of success with it and the kind of payoff. Which I'd never experienced on YouTube before. I was just kind of cruising along. How did I even get talking about this? This like lovely quiet coffee catch up in the corner of the sofa has turned into Lucy Wood, this is your life. Basically it turned into something that I never really wanted it to turn into, but the element of it that I liked, that I kind of kept creating that content for, was that I felt like I was representing something important that was kind of missing from UK YouTube. Like I hadn't found any other girls really on UK YouTube, maybe Helen Anderson, that kind of like middle body shape that I wasn't seeing that anywhere. So it felt like a good positive thing that I was kind of filling that gap a little bit at that point. And there was almost kind of like, I felt a bit of an obligation at that point, I think, to keep filling that gap. The more I've like kind of thought back on that and stuff, I wasn't ready to do that. And a lot of the time I'd film those videos and stuff and be forcing myself to crack those jokes, do the funnies, be so positive. And actually I wasn't having a good time. But now, like fast forward a year, and that whole like mid-size scene in like fashion content and stuff is actually really well catered for now. I think it kind of sparked a little bit of a thing, and a lot more girls felt comfortable enough to create the content that they'd been feeling like they couldn't create before. And now that scene is really busy and there's a lot of them, and I follow some amazing women now who are doing amazing things. There's a video on my channel somewhere where I recommend loads of my favourites, so it kind of meant that I could step back from it. And I have done that. Like obviously a lot of you guys came here to watch me try clothes on and are now understandably like, why aren't you trying any more clothes on? And I think that's part of it, like the obligation to fill the gap isn't there anymore, so I can kind of let it go. I felt like I was doing something quite like new and original a year ago, and I don't think it is particularly new or original anymore, so it's not the same kind of like excitement or pride about it. The sustainability aspect was a massive one. It wasn't like sitting well with me to be a part of fast fashion promotion and stuff, so actively anyway. Obviously the internet, for anybody who's not a size 8, is a fairly terrible place to be a lot of the time, and the impact of like comments and, you know, commentary on my body and stuff was another like huge example of me not being ready to be doing that, because I wasn't kind of like feeling strong enough in myself to feel okay with getting those comments. Like, it was fairly terrible. For anybody who's thinking about doing these videos, I don't mean to put you off, but I would really like insist that you only consider doing it if you are in a pretty good headspace, because a lot of the time, like, I might show like a little glimmer of improvement of body confidence or whatever, like my commentary about myself might be getting slightly more positive. And like the one that sticks in my head really strongly is that, like, I think in one video or whatever I'd said, oh, I quite like my waist, and then someone wrote like, oh, it makes me cringe when she thinks her waist is not a problem issue, her stomach is her problem issue or whatever. And it's like, what am I doing this for? Like, creating those videos at that time was to serve two purposes. It was to make people feel better about themselves and plug that gap that a lot of girls couldn't see themselves in. That was like the main purpose. And the second purpose was that they were very successful, so they made me the money that I needed to buy my half of this house. And I did that. We're sitting in it, my friend. Cheers to that. You know, it's like any other job. Like, you might be unhappy in a job, but you kind of squirrel away at it for a while in order to hit a savings goal, and then you think, okay, now I can step back from this quite stressful experience and go a bit easier on myself, to like make the willing decision for yourself to step away from your kind of like pretty successful niche, to like willingly leave that behind, brings up a lot of things as well. I've really kind of like had many a sleepless night thinking like, oh well, what if I just plugged away at that for another year? As someone who like really thrives on like success and perfectionism and like validation and stuff, that is like the milk on my Rice Krispies. Like, that is what really powers me and what makes me thrive, is that kind of like overachiever. I'm gonna blame the girls' grammar school for that one. When that kind of like addictive success and perfectionism is what really kind of drives you, to then cancel all that and have to make that decision for yourself, super weird. Super weird. Anyway, I can't even remember how I got into this deep dive about my strange career choices. How did this happen? I think where I was going with this was that I was just kind of trying to explain why I've started something a little bit new, because obviously taking a step back from the thing that made this channel quite popular left me with a big question mark over like what this is anymore. Luckily it was timed quite nicely, like with the move and stuff, so it's been nice to kind of like shoehorn in a bit of like house decoration and stuff. But just to let you know, I've got absolutely no idea what I'm doing here. Literally no idea. Like, I do kind of semi-enjoy the vlogging and stuff, but I still don't feel that it's like quite right for me. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting a bit old for this. It's been really interesting though to think about it all. Obviously during this time where we've spent a lot of time at home and stuff, it's really I think a lot of people have probably gone through this. Like, maybe, I don't know, you guys could let me know if you've kind of felt the same. It's really kind of made me reconsider like how I feel about sharing my life. I don't know, has anybody else had this kind of like weird epiphany recently? Like, I've been sharing my life on the internet since I was maybe 14. I think I was about 14, 15 when I became like an internet kid. And I've shared my life near enough every day on the internet since. So that's like 15 years. And I think spending so much time at home, spending that time with Adam, like building our little life together while he's been around all the time, on many occasions I've sort of like sat and chatted to him about it and been like, is this right anymore? It always literally just boils down to stop overthinking it. Like, every aspect of my life, stop overthinking, switch your brain off, go to bed, maybe stop drinking caffeine all throughout the day and you might calm down. Anyway, if anyone's got any grand ideas for what the hell this could possibly ever become, please let me know. Otherwise I'll auction it off to the highest bidder. Who's got £20? Do I hear £20? I'll take 17. Anyway, that was probably super boring and uninteresting and literally nobody asked. Lucy, literally nobody asked. So that's that on that, for anyone who was wondering. But to actually like sit and draw and play with colours and think about things creatively has been such a joy. I cannot tell you. It's really turned into like a bit of a salvation for me, especially during lockdown. Getting my paints out and all that kind of stuff has just been such a joy. So it's been lovely to kind of turn that into a little bit of a new part of my working day. It just kind of lifts the slightly like cloying, claustrophobic feeling of doing this as a job. That brings that sometimes. So it's been lovely to feel that like lifted off a bit. I was trying to think if I had any other news to tell you, but I don't think I do really. I know what I do want to talk about though. I don't know if anybody else has picked up these books, but how weird is it that in the year of our Lord 2020, my current 2 reads are The Hunger Games and Twilight. Should we have a chat about this? Because I'm currently reading, what's this one called? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm probably like 3/4 of the way done. I've got about that much left. So this is the new Hunger Games book. And it's a prequel to the Katniss story. And it's about President Snow as a young man, and how he came to be an evil tyrant. Also the title of my autobiography. And I actually have not enjoyed it very much, which is such a shame. That really sucks because I was so excited about it. And it's not that like the writing is bad or anything. The magic of the Hunger Games for me was that it was a really cool girl and there was just something really quite like empowering about those stories. This is not that. This is like a whingy rich boy. And there's enough of them in southwest London. I don't need to read about them. Just realised this is extremely bright. I'm going to knock it down one. There we go. So yeah, haven't been that enthralled by this really, which is a bit disappointing. I like that there's a main character called Lucy. Very into that. And I really enjoyed the bit of the actual Hunger Games, because let's be honest, when you read a Hunger Games book, that's what you want. You want kids fighting to the death in an arena. However, next on my list is Midnight Sun. And if you haven't heard about this is, I think it's the first Twilight book, I think, from Edward's perspective. I think we can all agree we've all been waiting for that one. I have not heard great things, but you know I have to give this a read. I am fully intending for this to be hilarious. Shall we have a little sneak peek? Chapter 1, First Sight. This was the time of day when I most wished I were able to sleep. High school. Or was purgatory the right word? If there were any way to atone for my sins, this ought to count towards the tally in some measure. Am I right, ladies? I feel like this will be some good quality reading, putting that English literature degree to good measure. So I've nearly run out of coffee. It's gone very cold now, so I suppose that's the natural conclusion to this video. I might go and edit this now, I think, and then this afternoon I want to start having a little look at bathrooms. I really want to get started on getting the bathroom done here, but where does one begin with getting a new bathroom? Like literally, where do you start? How do I do it? I really, really want to start getting it done because that bathroom is so grotty, but it just seems really like I don't have no idea how to do it. If anyone's done a bathroom, please let me know how you got started and where I should start, because I haven't got a clue. I think we've pretty much decided now that we're not going to have a bath. I think we're just going to turn it into like a big walk-in, big luxury, lovely shower. I'm still not convinced it's the right thing to do, and also a little part of me still wants to move the bathroom upstairs. But that's such a big job. I don't think I can be bothered. Well, that was a nice little coffee break, wasn't it? You got a full rundown there of basically every breakdown I've had for the last year. And you absolutely didn't ask for that. You came here for a quiet coffee break, a little bit of office goss. I haven't got any. I haven't got any. Has anyone had any gossip for the last like 6 months? I think the biggest gossip from round here is that Ada, like, passive aggressively said to me the other day, I don't mean this to sound like I'm being arsey, but do you know how to change the toilet roll holder? And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, oh, I just wondered because you never change it. I was like, okay. That's coffee break, folks. And that's break. That's break, everybody. That's break. I actually really enjoyed filming this. Just a long, conscious thought stream. Yeah, that was fun. Maybe we'll do this again sometime. But I'll come up with some notes for next time. We'll be a little bit more prepared next time now that I know this kind of works, right? This kind of works. I just wanted to hang out with you, really. So, all right. Let's go and edit this and realise this was actually a terrible disaster. I better get back to work. You better get back to work. And I'll see you very soon. Cheers. Ugh, that is literally cold. Gross.